right?
Yes,
And
that's
so
true.
if she's emotionally attached, then there's very much an alignment where she's going to miss some red flags of you, right?
Of me.
So as the leader, knowing that, then you should move differently, is what I'm saying.
But and one more, just add to that. We all as brothers know we're driven by sex, right? Our testosterone, like we motivated, inspired by, I mean, in our blood to work, and it's a driving force for us. And when we get to a woman, shouldn't she help us process that as well by how she conducts herself when we want sex? And if our desire to return back to her is higher than us wanting to have sex, isn't that something that kind of gets us to the place and go, hey, maybe this woman is a woman I need to return back to and build, possibly have potential to build a relationship with, because we are driven by sex. If you get that release, you get that post-nut clarity and go, well, got to see what this was about. But if she helps you process and control herself, to control yourself as well, to applying that pressure, you get to go, hey, do I want to come back to this woman for a nut? Or do I want to come back to this woman because my desire to come back to her is higher than my desire to want to have a nut with her?
Maturity. Yes.
I don't know about y'all. Every time I have sex, I'm an athlete. I play basketball almost every day. I bike, do all that shit. If I have sex, I'm not going to be able to perform right on the other things that I want to do. So if you're saying this drives me to do, I don't know, whatever it is to do, I would say having sex actually stunts my trajectory of where I want to go. It literally makes me perform subpar.
It's post-nut
clarity. If I got a basketball tournament tomorrow, I'm not having sex. Even if I want to, I'm not having sex because I know I'm not going to perform well.
I agree 100%. But what I'm saying is what we saying about post-nut clarity is you look to the woman as soon as you get that post-nut clarity and go, I want to be here or I shouldn't be here. It happens to every man. I want to be with this woman after that post-nut clarity. This is the woman I want to be with. Or it's like, man, what time is it? I need to go.
Why do you need to have sex with a woman to know if you want to be with her?
That's not what
I'm saying, how does clarity come then?
Because it's a biological thing. Once you release, it's biological. Once you release,
wouldn't that be immaturity though? That's not maturity.
No. I'm saying it's biological. I'm not saying to go through your whole life doing that. As we mature, we know that a nut is just a nut. So then we assess if both of us are mature and she's able to have practice self-control as well as me, what brings me back to her is that my desire to be with her is higher than a nut. Is my point.
More than the sex, way more than just the sex. The reason why you're calling her back, the reason why you want to spend more time, more money, more resources, the reason why you want to do the things that you want to do as a man for that woman is not just to bust a nut. It's more than just nut.
What she presented.
We gotta get Bruiser. That Bruiser finish.
Well, let me see if I can answer that question. There's a good video about a pastor. Assuming everybody abiding by the religious way of moving. Keeping sex out of it is not the issue. A woman should maintain her purity until she gets elevated to a status of a wife. Man, the issue is men are taking too damn long to make a decision. And if you ain't ready to wife her, don't touch her. I mean, get your shit together so you don't have to procrastinate. Procrastination causes unwed births. You know, if you reach your potential and you know what it is that you want from a woman, then pull the trigger as soon as you convince her to fit in your system. An established man doesn't have a long duration of persuasion. When your results are evident and visible, you know what I'm saying? She gonna go with you expeditiously if she's down with your system. So you don't have to give her an extensive grace period to make her mind up whether or not she's trying to fit in. She'll know early on. The ball is in your hand when you leveled up. So you just got to move forward.
That's a bar.
Yeah, it's like Bruiser been reading. Go ahead, Sir Hale. What are your thoughts, sir?
Professor Bruiser.
I'm sorry. I think I may have missed the question. What's the question we're addressing?
What the fuck?
No, it was a video we watched, Sir Hale. It was a clip of a pastor saying, if you keep sex away from a woman. If you keep sex away, if you don't have sex with a woman, you'll come to a quick conclusion if you're supposed to be together if you don't have sex with her. But if you do have sex, you can potentially want to be there simply for the sex. And so the pastor was saying, don't have it so you'll find out if she's worthy of being your wife or not.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. And it's a couple of things. One, I think from society, we place the responsibility of purity mostly on women. And here's what I've learned. If you have a woman who's into you, that femininity, that that agreeableness is going to agree with what you want to do. You see what I'm saying? So I think men have to be responsible, and we have to set some boundaries. Now, when I was 19 and I married my wife, it was the very same thing. When I met her, I was a virgin, right? So we didn't do anything. She set a boundary that she didn't want to do this until she wanted to be married, and I had to respect that. I wanted to, but I wanted to respect her, and so I didn't. And I think that's what men have to do. The desire is going to always be there, and I think that if you indulge in it too soon, I do think that it's going to cloud the man. I know we like to say it's going to cloud the woman, but if you were into her, it's going to cloud your judgment as well, because now it's physical. Now you're attached to her. Now you like what she's giving you, and then you just create confusion. So I know we place a lot of that on the women, but the truth is if you're into her, you can become just as clouded, even though the cloudiness looks a little bit different.
You're right, because a lot of y'all act like y'all been getting it in for like just who knows what. Y'all know if y'all get a hold of some good pussy, y'all gonna be sprung. So to stop trying to act like y'all just got it like that.
But Bruiser, I do. So here's the thing. So
right.
you got two different type of men. You got some men that have a very low body count. You got some men that's had sex with under 5 women. You have some men that's had sex with over 50, touching on 100. Right? If you got the guy with under 5, got married early, wasn't out in the streets ripping and running, doing a whole bunch of stuff, was probably focused on his career, got himself together, got a good woman early, locked her down, and has been in that relationship solid, then I understand that you might think that you be clouded if you have sex with women. On the other hand, you got other guys where ain't no pussy good enough to make him want to stay with somebody. It's got to be a whole lot more, because he's had enough pussy that that's an
older man. That's a seasoned man. But you as a young 20-year-old, 18-year-old, how many times you just spent your last little money on gas just to make it to the house and get some ass?
That's why I don't want young men getting married.
Okay.
That's why I would. That's
one of the reasons why.
That's why I don't want young men getting married. That's me. I want men 30 and over getting married. I want men who are already established and could be a good husband and have all the things necessary, especially today, because a lot of people don't have the family structure, don't have the fathers that's in place to make them good men when they're young. And so he needs a little bit more experience.
Well, would you agree to this? Would you agree to this? Men 16, 17, 18 years old coming out of high school, ain't never had no ass. They get a piece of tail in college, and they go all crazy. They get all, what do they call this? Y'all know the word. What do they call it? Sprung. They got a whole movie off of it. What do they call it? Sprung. I'm sprung. What T-Pain got a whole track on it.
Yeah, don't sing no more, Bruce.
Trigger, I remember you in Norfolk State. You was sprung. They had your number in the they had your picture in the hallway.
I bet.
Hey, Anton, I got a question for you.
Got you.
I got a question for you. So we just heard Shannon say you need to be 30 plus to get married. And I seen you shake your head. What do you think the age should be to get married, that you should be getting married?
I got married at 22 years old.
He's an alien.
I've been married on June 19th, it'll be 19 years.
That's when you lost your virginity.
No, it's not when I lost my virginity.
That's
when my wife lost her virginity. But it's not when I lost it. Regretfully. And honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you. The one regret that I have in my life, because I don't regret anything that I've ever done except for that. If I had to do one thing over again in my life, I would preserve myself, and I would get married as a virgin.
Because I was gonna say that I didn't get married. I didn't get married until what, 3? Is it going on 4 years? I think it's going on 4 years on the 21st of June. But the woman that I married, I've been with her since I was 21.
How old are you?
33.
What took you so long?
A number of things. First it was finishing college. Then it was her finishing school. Then it was me finishing barber school. Then it was her finishing hair school. Then it was let's move to Dallas first.
But y'all was acting like y'all
was already married.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. The crazy thing is, when we finally did it, we looked back and was like, man, we could have done this at 21.
So you answered your own question that you asked me.
Oh no, I was just asking because I seen that you were shaking your head when Shannon said 30.
I think that first of it's that opens up Pandora's box, right? Number one, you're talking about if I would have gotten married after 30, I would have had trust issues because I don't know who's really here for me and who's not, right? I'm married. The foundation of my marriage is spirituality and that being my best friend. I mean, she literally helped me build this shit from scratch. I mean, from the ground up, she's been the foundation and a rock. And when everything was going bad or everything was going good, she was right there. And she was in the gym with me. She was absolutely positively in the gym with me. By the time that a woman gets past 30, she's broken. I mean, college itself, in my personal opinion, is a training ground for chicks for the streets, for hoes. And so, you know, I'm an advocate for aligning with people that is going in the direction that you're going with very early and building that shit, building it from the ground up. And I don't think it's a person in the world that I would ever trust more than a person that I lay next to every day, ever.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I don't think you have to wait till 30 to get married. I think I'm in agreement with you. The earlier you find out, the better. The earlier you do it, the better.
Absolutely.
It's less likely to run into a bunch of BS the earlier you do it. And I mean, if you stand on what you said you're gonna do before God and before the state,
I mean, every last one of us, me and all three of my brothers, I probably got married the latest out of all three of my brothers. They all got married at 20, 21. I think my youngest brother got married at 23. And my father got married young. All 9 of my uncles got married young. I've never seen any man get divorced in my entire life.
I did.
But
ahead,
can we?
You guys are not speaking for the majority.
Let's say we have daughters, right? We're instructing our daughters to be with men who can at least take care of themselves and take care of them. Correct? Can we agree to that?
Hey, women should get married young.
Hold on, Ali.
That's another topic.
Hold on, Ali.
No. I'm about to watch.
Welcome to King Talk. Make sure you hit the like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Let's get to the super chats. Island Girl Q999 says, shout out to Anton only. NIJI Ninji with the 99.99 says, blessings, brother. Salute to you, sir. Ikine, $2. Trigger Mike, help me pronounce that.
Man, how you gonna read $2 after 100? That's bad. You should have pushed that shit all the way to the end.
Yeah, Ikena.
Okay, there you go. Ed Anton and cousin at Trigger Mike and the rest. Salute to you, star. Read all super chats over the blues. Arnold Allen the third, $2 says, Anton still talking. I left and came back.
You got some haters, don't you?
They love me.
Sex clouds, women's judgment. Study them, Shannon.
Shout out to
Will
you.
G $5 says, no, Mr. Let Go. I can hear everyone talk, even Bruiser. What's the catch? Espa says 199 says, Anton King talk. The heck you doing on here? Eugene Steele $20 says, sex is in everybody's nature, but it should only be engaged by two people in relationships. Sex may not define a relationship, but it is
And a girl, yeah.
Well, yeah, part of it. It's mentally impossible to have a sexless relationship. Appreciate everybody that has super chatted. Salute to you. Moving on to that topic, since you touched on Ali, I'm gonna have you go first, which is, what would you say to your daughter to make sure she was a good wife to her future husband?
I was going to ask that. Okay.
You could go ahead and respond to what you wanted to say first, but then I want you to go ahead and answer.
Well, what I was going to ask, I'm gonna put you under the fire too. I'm gonna put you under the fire. Don't you put brothers at risk or our sons at risk if they're not getting a wife in the same capacity that you got your wife? Like, what is a man signing up for if his wife isn't coming to you as your wife did? So aren't we putting brothers at risk for a woman who's had multiple bodies, can change her mind at any time? Since she had men to compare, could leave you for something she thinks she can get better, and at any moment leave you, get half an alimony. Like, what we're building up brothers to be Superman in 2023, and women want Superman, but men are settling for women who aren't even women anymore. We've given women their value in 2023, because if we stood on code and things you talked about too, and Bruce as well too, men wouldn't be married. by the way women show up to the table. We are the table, but the women are come up to the table already compromised. Isn't it a big risk asking men to marry today's women?
No, you just catch them when they're not compromised.
That was a rhetorical question because you answered your own question first and foremost. Well, but
come on, keep it real though, Anton. Keep it real. Like if I'm your son,
listen, what am I giving her half of? I didn't have shit.
No.
We built it together. That was the whole idea.
You said you got a virgin. You
said you got a virgin. But you got to also understand.
So Anton and Sir Hale both got they got biblically perfect women.
I met my wife in high school. She asked me to take her virginity in school. I told her no. And then I not only did I tell her no, I told her that nobody else can have her. And so you stay up under me and we just gonna, you know what I'm saying? We just gonna have a good time and you need to enjoy your youth. And so my thing is, by the time that I married her, she was still a virgin because she followed me and she believed in me. So it wasn't that I married a virgin, and I could have very much did that, but I guess it kind of feeds into the question that JR is asking, and I don't even want to go first. But I'm gonna just answer it very quickly by saying that I don't think it's anything that I say to my daughter. I'm the man that I would want my daughter to marry. The things that we say to our children is just the cherry on top. It's the reinforcing. But the way in which they learn, and the best way for us to communicate, because body language is 90% what it is that you do, not what it is that you say, is the example that you leave for them. And so and that's why it's so important for single mothers to stay with the father of their children, because the example that you give them is largely going to be the thing that they search for when they then look for a potential mate, or they're open to the possibility of whoever it is that comes into their sphere that is looking to have a relationship with them. So the thing that I would say to my daughter is very much the same thing that I exhibit as an example of our family, and more importantly, how it is that I treat her mother and how it is that I treated her mother even before I decided to make her my wife. That's the way I communicate with my daughter, right? I am the thing that I would want my daughter to marry. That's how I show her what a future husband is supposed to be like.
And it's still on my question. If your daughter goes away from what you taught her, would you advise a man to marry her?
What you mean if she goes away? Goes away in what way?
If Anton Daniels, that would be my answer too. It's not what I tell her. I'm going to show her exactly what a man is by the way I treat her mother. I'm gonna show how a man should treat her. I'm gonna make sure her mother's teaching her critical values on how to be a good woman, a good mother, and learn how to cook, clean, sustain a household. If she goes away from what I taught her, and she goes away from what you taught her, me and you both raising daughters, would we advise any man to marry her?
No.
That's the point I think Shan talked about.
But also on top of that, my daughter, the rule in my household is you're unable to leave my household until you get married.
I agree with you 100%. But what I'm saying is that all of us know when we see the way our women in 2023 are conducting themselves, a lot of our brothers and sons are putting themselves at great risk of marrying today. We're not saying I would still promote marriage. What I'm saying is marrying today's women. If we don't get them early, it's going to be hard to get them early because a lot of young men aren't established when they're young. That's why
it's not hard to get them early. Y'all not interested in getting them early because, for example, respectfully, me and Shan stands on different sides of the spectrum when we talking about what we're advising guys to do and when they're supposed to get married. Shan is saying don't do it early. I'm saying get them early before they get tainted by the world, before they get into these indoctrination camps we call college, before they get for the streets and they didn't have every single on which guy that this ever didn't had him and whatever and so on and so forth, before they hit the wall, right? Before they get have soul ties with a guy that they can't unsee, because you can't unsee all of the different dudes that you're taking into a new relationship. Before all of that, before all of the trauma, before all of the issues, when you have the opportunity to truly mold her into being what you want her to be, because you are in a way becoming her father when you marry her, you are her leader. That is the time that you have an opportunity to really be able to get with people that is truly whole and that you can make them into what you want them to be. By the time y'all get them, we've already saddled them with life's issues, and then we trying to retrofit a car that's already been banged up and used into being something that we can then carry into a new relationship.
You about to ask? I hope you about to ask what I would ask.
No, I'm not going to ask. Anton is saying that we're on two different ends of the spectrum. I think Anton has me misunderstood. I'm not saying. See, Anton, everything he spoke about was getting the woman as early and as pure as possible. I still believe that too, Anton. I believe women should get married young. It's men that I believe should wait, because men are the leaders of the household. As me and Humble Dad say, men have to provide the 4 P's: provide, protect, problem solve, and procreate. Men have to get their shit together to be the husbands that they need to be able to lead that household the way it needs to be led. So I believe in age gap dating. I believe a 30-year-old, 31, 32-year-old man should have no problem dating a young 21, 22-year-old woman who's early, like you said, Anton.
Are you still looking to get married?
Just like you described, Anton. My
problem is, are you still looking to get married,
21-year-old boy, huh?
Are you still looking to get married?
But Anton, you get his point,
right?
Hold
on,
No, yeah.
Are you still looking to get married, Shan?
Don't shift. I'm talking about our question. I will, but let me finish what my point is before you decide to change the door. I'm simply saying that we agree on the women that needs to be got. I'm simply saying the 21, 22-year-old young guy will fumble that, has fumbled that, and the numbers show that they fumble that. The highest divorce rate is between 14, but it's 14 to 23, and the next highest divorce rate is 24 to 30. They're not staying together because he's not who he needs to be, and she's not being led like she needs
14
to be.
to 23.
Yeah, I don't know why they chose 14 in the CDC, but that's the number they chose.
But the point Brother Shan is making, all the brothers on this panel, as much as we on these panels, as much as experience it look like all of us have, we're not going to give our daughter, if we're really in our daughter's life, we're not going to give our daughter away to no young man. No way.
Why is it about age?
You don't
know, Ali. Let me come back to my original
how to fix shit.
Let me come back to my original question. Are you still looking to get married, Shan?
Oh yeah, no. Looking to get married, I will, but I got a lot to lose, so it's not as important to me now as it used to be. At 50, it's not as important as it used to be.
So, as a 50-year-old man, how old is the wife that you think you should marry?
Oh, anywhere between 24 and 50.
So, as a 50-year-old man, you would be willing to marry a 24-year-old woman?
Yeah.
Whose brain, by the way, isn't even fully developed until she's 25, 26.
Yeah, the frontal lobe develops around 25.
The worst thing you do is let a woman brain get fully developed before you marry her.
Bruiser nailed it.
Yo, Bruiser, you hilarious, yo.
Come in like Kobe.
I'm not sure we can argue about
that. You gotta clip this, yo.
Shannon, I got a question for you.
Malleable woman. What man doesn't want a malleable woman that can get on his program and understand and be
y'all
curious?
Heard about when he get on, that's the next video y'all got to clip, man.
Hey, Shannon, I got a question for you.
Yeah, I got an answer.
You said that
who's out of control, man.
So you said that a man should wait till 30 because you think that a 20, 21, 19-year-old man is not prepared to take care of his family, right?
Today, the 23-year-old young men in their 20s are not prepared, especially in our society and the way our economy works, not prepared to be married and carry a family.
Why is that?
Oh, man,
because they used to be.
No, I can tell you why.
Society's changed.
I can tell you why.
My father had his first son at age 15, born Little Rock, Arkansas. He was born in 1941. We used to be like that.
The question is why? Why aren't they prepared today? Whose fault is it?
That's because listen, man, the stats show workers between 16 and 34 years old, women earn more than man, than 90% of what men earn.
Who cares?
Women care. Women are hypergamous,
and men should care.
If women are bringing in the bulk of the money in between ages 16 and 34, what you think they're gonna do?
So basically, what you're saying is that so between 16 and 34, they bring in more money, but then at some point, it flips.
Yeah, it flips.
Cares?
Women used to
the ratio drops, and they earn 80% or less of what men earn, regardless of the job.
The women back then used to build.
So when a man reaches age 35,
y'all gonna go down.
Women hit a wall. Women hit a wall at 35.
That ain't it, Bruiser.
Yeah, it is. The women hit a wall at 35, and they can't even compete on a level of in the workplace as far as earnings with a man.
What Anton just said earlier, what a woman used to do back then is build with her man. And when he became established,
I'm telling you what's going on now.
She helped the man build and she stayed with that man. And that gave that man every reason to stay with his woman and loyal to that woman because she helped him build. That's what women back then used to do.
Listen, that's fine. If you can find a woman that's willing to help you build,
that's what we could get married earlier if women were like that. If we didn't have to worry so much on a man making $80,000, $100,000 and with the way society's teaching. But the way we're raising up people, in the quality of people, it's the problem. But if people were still building together, we can get married early, very, very early.
But you got to listen. You got to understand. You got to understand the type of woman. Hold on. You got to understand the type of woman you're dealing with. You got to understand whether you're dealing with Generation Z or you're dealing with millennial. 60% of the U.S. women in the world is and between 18 and 29 is single, and only 25% of U.S. women between 18 and 32 are married. But it's
the same thing though. The fact of the matter is that a woman that is getting a 21-year-old woman that is getting with a 21-year-old man does not have the same requirements as a 25-year-old woman that's getting with a 50-year-old man. The requirements.
Right, so hold on real quick, Anton. So they just did these numbers in 2022. The gender pay gap between the ages of 16 to 24, women get paid 82 cents on the dollar. 25 to 34, women get paid 87 cents on the dollar. 35 to 44 is 84 cents. I'm reading it right in front of you. So what you're saying is not necessarily true. Now, I didn't
say it's necessarily true if we're reading from two different articles and two different people that did the research. You can't really say it's true. One is true and one is false.
It's only true.
It's like me and you being both on the basketball court and you calling foul and I'm calling foul. Now,
but let's go with Sweeney's point instead of arguing the micro part of it. Let's go with Sweeney's point. So
hold on, both of us making the same point. Basically, when women are young, they're out earning men at a younger age.
No, that's not what I said. I said that when men are out earning women.
Women are not out earning men.
No, they're not.
Yeah, we getting off topic. We getting off.
Sweeney.
Hold on, JR talking. The host talking. Y'all, the host talking. Yeah, everybody got to stop talking. The host talking.
We getting off topic, y'all. The topic is what would you say to your daughter to make sure she was a good wife to her future husband? Let's go against Sir Helen. Go ahead, sir.
It's amazing. So it's a couple things. I want to go back and then I'm going to go forward. Number one, being a virgin does not make you a good woman.
Nope.
I know that's like one of the principal things we bring up, but being a virgin does not make you a good woman. Some women are virgins on accident. It's because don't nobody really want what they get, right? So it's so I want to put that out there because I think a lot of guys, we romanticize it. If she's a virgin, then we automatically endow her with these other characteristics. She's a good woman. She's sweet. That doesn't mean the case. So that's number one. But moving forward, what would I tell my daughter? There's not really much to say. It's more so about what you do. Like I've got two daughters. I've got two sons. And my daughters, so when I'm talking to my daughters act like they aren't paying attention. And then when I'm not in their presence, they're repeating everything that I say. That lets me know that how I walk and how I conduct myself, and not just the one-on-one conversations, but how I do consistently. It's almost like the unconscious training that I'm giving them. Like I'm not sitting down at a table and telling them stuff. It's just what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. They see me working. They see me taking care of their mother. They see me taking care of them, working, being a man of faith. I'm teaching my kids what to expect. And so you'll start to see this. They'll start comparing even boys that they like with their dad. That's that training that's going into place. So it's not really about what you tell your daughter. It's really about what you show your daughter. And that's how you treat their mother. And that's how you conduct yourself. I think that's the biggest lesson.
That's perfectly said, Sarah.
Yeah, I like that. Go ahead, Cloud Jones. What you got on there, sir?
It's a tough one. Like I'm kind of on the fence. From listening to all your perspectives, it kind of has been dragging me left and right. On one hand, I can kind of agree with what Shannon was saying, where I feel as though men should kind of wait, because I myself also married young. And for me personally, I mean, this may not have been the case with some of you or with Anton, but for me personally, I feel as though, like Shannon said, I was young, didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was trying to juggle being a husband, run a business. And my father wasn't in my life at the time because he passed. So I didn't really have anyone to go to for advice, anyone to talk to about it. So for me, I crashed and burned hard and the relationship went bad. So I definitely feel as though if I was the age I am now, if I knew what I knew now then, I definitely would have been able to run the marriage in a much better way. But I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And I mean, some men are fortunate. Like, I think that Anton's perspective is coming from, like he said, he never saw a man get divorced. There were plenty of men in his life to give him that perspective. So I think that's a great thing to have. And I think he was blessed to have that, because what it did, it gave him the confidence and it gave him like a blueprint to follow. But unfortunately, a lot of men don't actually have that example, or they don't actually have that support. So, it's like a lot of men actually do need to get tested through the fire, to actually have to work, earn money, date, learn different things about women. And those things that they learn is what they're bringing to the table